Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this like 2 minutes so we can get people kind of joined in.
Brett Moist in the building. What's up, Brett Moist?
Oh, you got the comments going. You guys are already smarter than me, like, by far.
Yeah, you got it. Don't worry.
Oh, I'll forget it. I'm not even going to bother. You guys can read comments to me.
Says, I see you in all caps.
You see me in all caps. That's good. So here's the deal. This is how this is going to work. Tyler has went through and found a bunch of different subreddits about like issues that came up at weddings or situations. And Ben and I are going to hear these first time. I didn't even screen them to make sure that they were appropriate. So I'm hoping they're kind of not.
They might not be.
Oh, good. So with
they mostly are.
So with that said, we're going to hear the situation, then decide who was the asshole, and then maybe discuss the situation if it requires discussing. Should be fun either way.
But hey, before we start, Roy, did you bring your Red Bull?
So I am just coming off, like I had my first night's sleep in like 3 days. I've been on an insomnia kick, so I'm not even touching that stuff. It required lots of drugs to get to sleep last night.
There you go.
Brett said Roy has moved from the kitchen to the living room. #progress.
Actually, no, this is on my laptop. I did just do 3 lives this morning, or 3 coaching sessions this morning in my kitchen. So I got tired of standing. But also I'm using a nicer camera, so it's still in progress. All right. Thaddeus sees us. Nicole sees us. Apparently there's a back-end thing where I can see the comments, and I've been doing this the hard way every time.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. All right. How long have we been doing this live yet so far? We've got give it another 30 seconds, let people pop in. So Ben, what have you been up to, man?
Man, just running businesses, doing life, being a dad. It depends on the day. So
yeah. Fun fact, you're the only other person I know that runs more businesses than I do.
I know, man. Wow. It's in this weird point now when people ask me, like, what do you do for a living? And I don't know how to answer it. I'm like, well, you have 20 minutes or you want the short answer?
I go day to day. I'm just like, on Thursdays, I'm a coach. And on Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm a wedding photographer.
Dude, right? Man, I've only shot 3 weddings this year, and I had one this previous weekend, and I'm still like early in the year, and so it's taking like 3 days for me to recover after each wedding. My body's just not like in wedding shape, and so I'm feeling good. It's Thursday, but it's like then I have another wedding, and so then it's going to start over again. So hopefully my old body gets in shape here.
Nice. I just realized too, we never actually introduced who you were. So. Guys, I'm really good at this so far. So Ben Adams is a wedding photographer in Toledo, Ohio, serving all the way down to Columbus, I believe, right?
Yeah.
We didn't check on where he was serving beforehand either. There's no process to this. I've worked with him a bunch of times. He is an incredible photographer. I mean, like awards all over the place. Super fun to work with as well. Only better when I'm there with him. But so he's a photographer extraordinaire, and then Tyler is the other redhead in the room that is my assistant that is going to be reading everything to us. So another breakdown of what this is going to be. We have wedding situations from Reddit that Tyler's went through and found. He's going to read the situation to me and Ben first. We're going to decide who the asshole is in this particular scenario and react to whatever the situation is. Probably go into a deep dive on a couple of them. But I'm pumped. Tyler, you ready?
Yeah, but Thaddeus said that you need to make your own guide guiding you on how to do live broadcasts.
I won't read it.
Valid point.
Maybe I need to make him that. Nice. I'm ready for the first one. Let's go for it.
All right, these are random. I don't know if this is a good order or not. We'll find out.
Perfect. So you don't know either.
Yeah, it's a surprise to me too. It's all right. Am I the asshole for being upset about my future mother-in-law offering to help pay a photographer so she can have her family portraits done at my wedding? Hello, my fiance and I are both planning our wedding together. He said that he will let me handle the photographer since I have one that I liked that did my brother's wedding. I told FMIL, that means, I don't know what that means.
FMIL.
Father's mother-in-law?
Father.
Future mother-in-law.
Future mother-in-law. There we go.
Yep.
We know things.
I told my future mother-in-law that we were going to go visit next week with the photographer and go over pricing and stuff. And she told me that her cousin does wedding photography and that she would help pay for the photographer if we use her cousin, and she can get family portraits done at mine and my fiance's wedding. In my opinion, I found that to be so trashy. Thank you for offering to help, but it's not about you, future mother-in-law. It's about my fiance and I. Am I the asshole?
I feel like the mother-in-law is still. It's hard to tell anyone who's paying that's paying for something for you that they're an asshole.
Yeah.
But I know the job as a photographer. Like, I'm not gonna want to jump down and like go take someone's family photos. It's not my couple's. I'm gonna say the mother-in-law is the asshole for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I think there's just like another motive behind her. Yes, she's offering to pay, but man, it's not your day. Get out of the way.
Yeah, and like, is she willing to cover the wedding photographer that the lady wants either? Because like, there has to be a version where she has like a price limit, I'm gonna guess, and like, is she willing like up to that point, and then you still don't get the photographer you want in the first place.
Yeah, and the way I took it as well is like, I'll pay for the photographer if you use this particular photographer. Which is no fun for the bride and groom to have no say in like what they want in a wedding photographer. So that'd be extremely disappointing as the bride.
So yeah, I think we're just pretty solidified on mom is the asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mom's the asshole. Yeah. Perfect. Let's make that a hashtag.
Follow-up question: how would you guys respond if this was one of your clients that said, "I want family portraits done at my wedding"?
I mean, all of my clients want that somewhat.
Yeah.
But I guess if it's like the mother-in-law specifically asking, I gotta be honest. Like a mother-in-law that's doing all this stuff and then specifically wants her own family session, I may just turn down that wedding because she sounds very extra.
Yeah, I had a similar, not similar, but I guess similar experience this weekend where it was the groom's mom wanted like different family portraits, so I sent my second shooter to go do it. So it's something I wasn't going to deal with. He's like, "Hey, I want some like extended family photos during cocktail hour," and I said, "Perfect." I'm like, "Hey, Morgan, do what she says."
Oh, poor Morgan. Is it the way? I think I've had Morgan work for me.
Yeah, in that case, I was the asshole, but I didn't have to take the extra family portraits, so I was happy.
I would disagree. I think that's what like you get. That's the benefit of being the lead. Like you had me go shoot. We did a wedding in Ohio once, and I had to go do the cocktail hour photos, which every photographer kind of hates.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think you're the asshole. I think that's just the situation you're put in.
Yeah, but, hey, that was nice because you were supposed to shoot all of cocktail hour, but I let you come on the yacht with me for like the 3/4 of the cocktail hour, and then I sent you off. So
I drove to Ohio to get on the yacht.
That's right.
All right, I think we can probably move to the next one.
All right, we got a shorter one here. Am I the asshole? We have a no children policy at our wedding besides the ring bearer and flower girl. We already had the ring bearer picked when my best man had a son who is 8 months old now. I'm not allowing his baby at the wedding because of the policy that everyone is okay with, but now he won't come. Am I the asshole?
I hate babies. So I feel like I can't answer this correctly, but I'm going to say that she's not the asshole. It's her wedding. She doesn't have to have kids there if she doesn't want to. And a wedding is not a place to really have kids anyway. Like the intent is to say I do and then get super hammered at the reception. I don't feel like that kids need to be there anyway.
Yeah. So I actually was the kind of the asshole in this scenario because we didn't have kids at our wedding and we really made somebody mad and they didn't come because of that, but I was okay with it. And so I don't think she's the asshole because I didn't have kids at my wedding and we had somebody mad, but they didn't come and their loss.
Yeah, and I would also say most of the time, if there's something that goes wrong with family portraits or something, it's usually a crying kid. So
Yeah,
not
man.
having them there would actually make your wedding day go smoother. So I don't think she's an asshole. The baby's still an
Well,
asshole.
So apparently the baby's the asshole in this scenario,
Yeah.
according to Brooke.
yeah.
Checks out. I know how much you love best man speeches, so this one's about a best man speech.
Ooh.
I'll keep this short and sweet. The best man at our wedding gave a hilarious 6 to 7 minute speech at our wedding regarding tales from him and my husband's childhood, etc. Talking about how blessed he feels to have him as a best friend, etc. It was a great speech, but he literally did not mention me once. Like, not once did he even utter my name or make reference to us as a couple. I feel like it's standard for the best man to at least compliment the bride, talk about being happy for his best friend, being etc. Am I wrong here? I don't want to seem pissy over something that ultimately doesn't matter, and I would never say anything to him. But I feel kind of slighted by it, and I feel like it's kind of embarrassing for me as it implies to my guest he doesn't like me. Am I overthinking it?
I'm going to let Ben answer this one first because I'm not sure how I feel yet.
I know. Because I don't know the dynamic of the friendship and what's going on here. But I'm going to go with that the best man's the asshole. I think if you really care about your best man, and if you're the best man and you really care about the groom, the groom cares about his wife. And so give that girl a shout out and be appreciative that you were the best man. So I'm saying that I agree with the bride in this circumstance.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a little awkward to not mention the bride at all. Even if you don't like someone, you can at least say, and the bride looks lovely today, and then just kind of pass it through. Just to completely ignore her existence as like the second main star of the day, right? Like, yeah, you're kind of an asshole. I have had it go way worse, though, where like one of my grooms, like midway through, it was like the longest speech of all time, he started to hit on the bride. Like middle of the speech, he was super drunk. I don't think it was necessarily intentional, but it was very awkward, being that I was like, it was like a tent backyard wedding, and so like I was like a couple feet away from this guy, and we were waiting for like 20 minutes for this speech to be over. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna think the best man, definitely an asshole, but it could have been worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've heard some best man speeches that the best man said things that he should never say to a group of people. Like I think that's much worse than potentially not shouting out the bride.
Yeah, you live for that though.
Some of the stories where the bride like looks over at her husband and she's like, "You did that? Why did I never know that?"
Yeah, I'm with Ben on this one. Let's take a look at the comments here and see what's going on. Brett
Yeah, I was
says,
just supposed to read one.
best man is the asshole. Brett also hates kids on the dance floor. It's good. Thaddeus, what's your opinion on this? I feel like you're the only other person commenting. We don't see you. Where's your thoughts here?
Nicole's been commenting too.
I don't see Nicole. Oh, there she is. Sorry, Nicole. Facebook didn't show me your comment. Thaddeus is writing a small novel. Okay, so he's scum. He's not even an asshole. He's scum. Fantastic. Good. We'll keep it. All right. Let's move on.
All right. Wedding planner versus groom's mom. Am I the asshole?
Wedding planner.
I used to be one of the top destination wedding planners in the world back in the early 2000s. Since then, I've moved on to a new career, but still own a travel agency, which my family and some friends now run. Someone that's very close to me asked me if I would come out of retirement and plan her best friend's destination wedding as a favor. I agreed and didn't even charge any fees as a planner or a travel agent. Everyone knows, though, that they have to book their trip through me to be included with the wedding. The only people that I've had problems with is the groom's parents and sister. After a plethora of issues over the past year, I received an email from the groom's mother today asking me if she could stay at a different resort because a friend that lives in the destination told her the rate was too expensive. I emailed her back and CC'd the bride and reminded her that she has to book through me to be included in the wedding. I also told her that she has to... I can read. I also told her that she has had over a year to make payments, but she chose not to. Finally, I told her that the bride and groom's wedding was non-negotiable. She emailed me back without the bride CC'd and unleashed about how unprofessional I am, how she wants to talk to my employer, that I am disrespectful, and how she has more money than I am worth. I replied and CC'd the bride again, telling her that she can only communicate with me through the bride and groom. Am I the asshole for finally putting this woman's BS on her son to handle?
Okay, I
That was a
take back.
lot.
The planner's not the asshole.
No, no.
And if I were that planner, I would send them to the wrong resort.
I will say this: whenever there's like confrontation that needs to be had, you got to get on the damn phone. I'm a big believer. I feel like if the planner would have got on the phone though with the bride's mom or whoever these people were, maybe some things could have get hashed out. So that's my pro tip to the planner, man. Get on the phone, get to the root of the problem, man. Emails and CCing people, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, and again, at this point, I'd be screenshotting all of these emails, sending them to the bride, and just being like, "Hey, listen, I don't even think she should be part of this wedding anymore. I know that she's important to you guys, but she's really bothering me. So just, I don't know if it would work, but I'd try it."
Yeah, I think some people just like to be difficult.
Yeah, and to her point though, like I could see where if like you got your own, like you book your own travel in, and you're the one willing to take the risk. I feel like it's fine, as long as you actually make it and everything. But I think being that controlling, where you have to book through the wedding planner specifically, it's a little extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See what the comments are saying. And she sat on making a payment for a year and apparently has more money than she is worth. Well, she has it. She just doesn't use it. That's why she has it. Groom's mother is the a-hole for sure. Yeah, okay. The comments, that we have it. All right, so mother is the asshole again.
We agree.
All right, Tyler, what you got next for us?
All right, so my wife and I hired a photographer for our wedding, and we eagerly awaited our photos. Fairly recently, I was contacted by the photographer, apologizing profusely and telling me he's not going to be able to get us photos due to a fire that ravaged his entire house. I snooped his social media profiles to double-check that this was true and not just an excuse, and it is. Skip. Here's the catch, though. He's only offering us 90% refund instead of the full. It was $2,000. So $1,800 is what he's offering. He says the difference is due to the huge amount of time he put into the editing, 5 hours spent shooting, and the round trip he had to do for travel. I'm not trying to sound too selfish or entitled, but while I think it's all well and good he put all that work into it, all that doesn't really benefit us if we're not getting a single photo out of it, and I don't see why we owe him anything. It's sad and not his fault, but we're not getting our long-awaited and treasured pictures, and I feel we deserve the full refund. I've demanded the full refund, and he stood very firm that he's only giving a 90% one. I'm prepared to take him to small claims or request a chargeback if he won't back down. Am I the asshole?
Okay. I could see where... So, he's wrong. I'm going to put it this way. He's wrong first, because insurance should technically be covering this. That's what it's for. The second thing, it's also kind of wrong to kick someone when they're down. So he's giving back everything but $200. And so maybe it's just because of where I'm at. I don't know. But $200 is I'd probably just let that go, especially if the guy's entire house burned down. I could see his point. He doesn't really have a right to the cash, so he should technically be doing it. And she has every right to go after him. And I would not claim her being an entire asshole. I don't think I think the photographer is unfortunately the asshole only because he doesn't understand how to use insurance.
Yeah. I disagree. I completely disagree. I was thinking the photographer was the asshole until the last line that Tyler read, and it was that she was going to take him to small claims court over that $200. The bride's the asshole. The bride's the asshole. Not that the photographer's right, but man, like, really, come on now, like, over $200. That's just petty. That's just.
I mean,
petty.
I don't disagree. But she is owed the money.
That is fair, but
I mean, I guess $200 doesn't make or break it. But then again, you got to think about it too. Like, she's probably going through. Okay, you're emotional. Like, she has no photos from her wedding, so she's devastated. She has to be. He didn't technically do any work for her, if we're really being honest. And he didn't have any backup systems that he was supposed to have in the first place, because you would have some sort of cloud version of that almost immediately, unless the house burned the exact night he got home while it was uploading to. So it's the bride has like she's partially an asshole. He's completely being an asshole, but also he's probably not in the right side. Like, his house just burned down.
Is it fair to say both assholes? Is that allowed on this show? Like, are they both assholes?
Yeah, I think for me, they're both kind of assholes. Okay,
but
so here's an interesting.
Refunded it all. If the photographer refunded all of it, it would have been over, and that's what I would have done.
So, okay, there is one person. So Thaddeus says, retainer is non-refundable, whatever that is. Refund the rest. Photographer equals asshole. Here's where you would not. That's not actually the case in this scenario. You didn't provide any of the services. Your insurance has to cover it, and it would be the full amount. The retainer would not be covered in this point because yes, they retain your services, but you didn't provide any of your services either. Really, I mean, essentially. If you're not providing photos after that point, you just annoyed people at a wedding all day for no reason.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say, like, yeah, he's still in the wrong, and it would be 100% backup. Brett says, I've lost a wedding before. It was so incredibly difficult for my wife and I. I know what it feels like from both sides. Photographer is being a piece of shit for not giving her 100%. So he's not even an asshole. He's just a piece of shit. Bride has a slight downgrade. She's only a piece of crap for wanting to waste her time for $200. She's probably really pissed, and it's not even that she may not even be pissed at that photographer. She could just be pissed at the situation and not know how to deal with it. Like, I don't know what I would necessarily do in that scenario. And she feels entitled to the $200, which is what small claims court is unfortunately for. Again, the photographer is doing the wrong thing here, which is what's creating all these issues.
Sure.
So, yeah. Equal distribution of assholeness going on here. Yeah, I could agree with that.
As much as we're saying that, I also feel like I feel for both of these people. Like, both of them, like, maybe none of them are assholes. Maybe we should just feel bad for both parties.
And it's one of those things where it's like, so he just lost his house, which means he probably lost all of his equipment. Everything went in fire. So, like, kicking him while he's down for $200 just seems so unnecessary. But I don't know the financial situation of either one of them. Plus, she's dealing with the full loss of every memory that she would have had from that day, besides cell phone photos. So yeah, I'm in the middle on all of it. Everyone's doing something wrong.
Yeah. Next.
All right. The other day, while I was surfing, a photographer took pictures of me without asking me first. After surfing, she came to my friend and I and asked us if we wanted to buy one of the pictures, and we told her no. She gave us her website just in case we wanted to buy a picture later. That afternoon, I saw on her website a couple of pictures of me and my friend that I really liked, but I was not going to pay for a picture that was taken of me without permission. So I decided to crop it and remove the watermark and upload it to Instagram. This morning, I've woken up with a message from her on Instagram telling me that I've stolen her pictures and that I should pay her. I told her she should stop being a creep and she should ask before taking pictures. After that, I blocked her, but now she's crying about it on Twitter. I know this because before blocking her, she was threatening me with exposing me on Twitter. Am I the asshole?
I need some like clarification here. Is it at a wedding? Like, is this a reception guest that they just took photos of, or is it just?
They said they were surfing, so it was like a random.
Oh, just outside.
Like, yeah.
The
Not
photographer
necessarily
is
wedding related on this one.
the photographer's the asshole because that's technically it's public. So it's public. You can technically use the photo. However, using someone else's image for commercial purposes would be illegal. So I'm sticking with the photographer's the asshole. Also, using someone's image or likeness on your website and then demanding they pay for it afterwards is it's a really strange gray area. And then to chase them down on Instagram, again, just all the things are wrong.
Yeah, man. I can relate though. I was always that one like at Disney World, or like you'd go down the roller coaster, then you'd go to that room and see the pictures, and I was always like pulling my phone out and snapping pictures, so I had to pay for that shit. So I can relate. That was me.
I personally don't feel like it's wrong to steal those photos anyway. I'll just be honest; they're never really that good. I'm not gonna. I live so close to the area I'm about to shit talk. Look, I would just say, go ahead and take them. What are they gonna do? I don't think they really care. It's you either got the $99 pass or you didn't. It is
That's
what it
right.
is. I would say if you're going to go to Disney World, why don't you bring one of your photographer friends just to have them take your actual photo, though? That's a way, way better way of doing it. I'll go to Disney. In other words.
My kids aren't old enough yet for Disney, so my time's coming. My time is coming
soon.
It is.
All right. Any comments about this one? Photographer can do it, but also needs to understand the issue with their business model being photos will be taken from their site and used on social media with no compensation. Freedom of press. Okay, so you can take pictures of people in a public place. It's just you can't force them to pay for pictures of themselves, and then you can't sell those photos of themselves to other people without getting a model release first. Like, you have to have a model release in order to do it. So it's not like you have street photographers who are doing roughly the same thing, but they're not actively going to those people and asking for cash right afterwards. And to the photographer's credit, when the girl asked for pictures, when she said she didn't want to buy the pictures, she also had the right to tell the photographer to delete the pictures because he does not have permission to use her likeness. That is something where you kind of see. It's a really weird scenario that I feel like a lawyer or literally anyone besides me would be better at explaining. But from what I understand, it would still be considered semi-illegal. Should always ask before you use something in your website and sell prints. Yeah, always. If you're going to put it on your website, you definitely need a model release of some sort. But yeah, I think that's that's pretty much all I have. I've got for that one.
Yeah.
Let me add too. I don't know if you remember this, Roy.
Oh,
but
God.
at one time, I don't remember where exactly, but you took a picture of a random couple and gifted it to them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I took this picture. Do you guys want it? And I imagine that's a really good way to build rapport with a potential client.
I've done
I
things
don't know
where
if you remember that or if you do that now regularly because that was years ago. But
I remember anytime I've taken a picture of a couple, I've usually walked, if I'm out street shooting when I was doing Chicago stuff, I would walk up to them and be like, hey, I took a picture of you guys. Here's my Instagram. If you want a copy of it, I'll go ahead and give it to you. I would just ask that they shared my handle or whatever on Instagram in return, but I was never going after them for commercial reasons. I did actually get a lot of shoots from couples doing that. But yeah, I don't remember that specific situation because I've done that thousands of times. But I think in that case, at least you're letting them know, and then you're giving them the photo as an option. It's where you're trying to profiteer off someone's face that I think becomes, because ultimately, it sounds like that surfer was the photo, what was the selling point of that particular photo? Again, without seeing the photo, I don't know. And then it's not like they were selling it. I don't know. Maybe it's like a wall print or something. It's a weird area. I don't know. But I'm gonna say I'm still sticking with photographers the asshole. Yeah. Okay. Wait a second. Brett actually, hold on. Brett pointed out freedom of press is completely right, but it has to be used editorially. Anything that falls in the realm of commercial usage or selling is completely different. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go with that. Thank you, Brett. All right, Tyler.
So, okay. Typos mess me up when I'm trying to read. Here's some background info. I have my own business doing photography and graphic design work. 2 years ago, I did my cousin's wedding photos for free in exchange for using them in my online portfolio. Right now, my other cousin is pregnant, and she and her fiance want to get married right away before it becomes too cold for an outdoor event. So they're scrambling last minute to get everything together. Her and her fiance have asked me to be their photographer. They're having a hard time finding one right now. She says I can use her photos for my online portfolio too, but I really don't need any of the photos from her wedding. I'm trying to get my portfolio looking more diverse, and her wedding is going to be rather generic. Not that that's a bad thing, but I already have a ton of photos of weddings like that, even ones that are in the same church and reception venue. So I don't need the photos from her wedding, but what I do need is money. I haven't exactly had a lot of that business lately, so money has been very tight. I did get a paying job for a different event that same weekend as their wedding, though. So I've told them that I can only be their photographer if they pay me, and I probably won't be able to make the wedding that weekend otherwise. This made her really angry since I did her sister's wedding for free. They know the whole situation, but she and the rest of the family still think it's wrong of me to even think of missing the wedding in the first place and say that I'm practically charging her for my attendance.
No, they're all assholes. They're all assholes. Not the photographer, but like the other, like you can't force someone to do anything for free. That's called slavery. Super illegal. And exposure doesn't pay the rent. So the family 100% are just all assholes. And
Yeah.
I've missed weddings for friends and things because I had to go do a paying job. Like that's just the reality of what a wedding photographer's job is. I'm going to miss a lot of family events. Yeah. Any business really.
Yeah.
And for her to just say like, oh, I could do it for you because this is what she's asking for. She can't find a photographer. And I'm wondering if she can't find a photographer because she's asking for it for free. I feel like those two might be connected. I don't know. So I'm sticking with the family and the girl getting married is an asshole. The whole couple.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, you have to run a business, especially it sounds like
I think
this
Ben
guy
froze.
is more established now than what he was when he shot the sister's wedding. And so it's like, you got to pay the bills, run your business. Sorry, you're out of luck.
Yeah, I don't know what you said. You froze for me. So I'm going to say, yeah, what Ben said. Let's see. Oh my God. So, wow, Brett. Brett said there would be a flaming bag of dog crap on their gift table after that comment. So in that scenario, Brett's the asshole. And also either already has dog shit on hand or is just readily going out and collecting dog shit. So he's also the weirdo. But I get the sentiment. Yeah, no, you can't force someone to work for you for free. That's not that shouldn't be a thing. Tyler, how many more of these do we have?
I don't know. Let's see. You
Okay.
told me 3 or 4, but I always know you better than that.
To be honest, I answered that after I had just done 2 lives and I was standing for like 3 hours, so it was a different situation.
Hold on, this one like cropped weird, but I have another one. Let's see.
Oh my God. So Brett then says I could pull an Amber Heard in the getting ready room as well, but I would keep it a little tamer. Yeah. Shitting on people's things probably just not a good career move, but all right. Did you have more or no?
I think I got one more here.
All right, final one. The final countdown.
I, female 28, got married to my fiance, male 28, during autumn in 2019. It was a lovely wedding. I hired this local photographer who was recommended by the party planner. As it was a small wedding, 50 people, we only hired one photographer, no team with him. I asked him if he was okay to cover ceremony and reception on his own, and he said yes. I offered him a higher rate because of it. My family are Southeast Asian, and my husband is white and British. I told him we wanted a lot of photos of guests, as most of my side of the wedding had to fly in and would probably be one of the only times they'd be able to travel this far. Visas are expensive. When we were looking through wedding pictures, we noticed that there were almost no pictures of my guests, just the guests from my husband's side. We're talking only 10 photos out of hundreds that feature them dominantly as opposed to being in the background. He didn't even get any of my grandmother's speech. We thought there was a mistake, so we tried figuring out if the file was corrupted or hidden. When that didn't work, we called him to ask for the rest of the photos. He told us those were the only photos. This was obviously a problem, so we asked him why there were barely any photos of my family, and he said there just wasn't an opportunity and the lighting was poor on their side. Which didn't make sense, as during the reception everyone was mingled. Needless to say, I'm devastated and heartbroken. The remaining 40% of payment was due after he gave us the pictures, and I now am not going to pay that. Am I the asshole? Nice curve at the end. Which is why.
Well, this is a learning group, so let me just tackle this first. Don't ever work for someone and get your payment after you deliver work. That's such a bad, don't do that.
Step one, money.
Step two, I will say for most East Asian Indian weddings, always have a second. Just grab a second. Take the L, whatever. If they don't want to pay for it, just bring somebody just in case. Particularly in a case where they're talking about, my guests are the most important people. When he gave the answer, yes, I could handle reception and whatever on his own, probably not a realistic answer. And this is why it's important to take notes when you're talking to a client. You need to be taking notes of what's important to them. If you don't know by the time you get to that wedding day, you can't just go back and ask the bride or groom anyway. You need to find out, okay, well, they said guests, so I'm going to go take those guests. Is she an asshole? Not knowing the photographer's sales process and not understanding if, he specifically guaranteed any of this stuff. There's a potential where he's the asshole. There's also a potential where she's the asshole. I'm going to go ahead and say by not paying someone for their work already done, happy or not, you're probably the asshole. And that, again, would depend on what's inside of that contract and what was agreed to be, captured by him. So I would also want to hear his side of the story.
Yeah. Tyler, didn't you say that there was only 50 people? Or did you not say that?
Yeah. It's a 50-person wedding.
Yeah, which I don't understand. If there's only 50 people, when I shoot smaller weddings, it's pretty easy to make sure you get a photograph of almost everybody. Maybe not exactly everybody, but pretty damn close.
True.
To me, it sounds like the photographer didn't work hard enough. I'm man, 50 people, and you didn't get a picture of a certain speech, and you didn't get,
the speech, there's no excuse.
Yeah, there's no excuse. But I do agree, though, that the bride is the asshole in this case because she should be paying for the services. If you were that worried about it all, you should have hired somebody better like me or Roy because we wouldn't have messed up.
Nailed it. Yeah, I will say I could see where. All right, so I've done a lot of these mini, especially last year. I did a ton of them.
Yeah.
Right, and so sometimes you have the couple, the main story. Right, if we're shooting a wedding, they are still the main story, no matter what we do. Completely far away from these 50 people, and it is like I said, if someone's really specific on their guests, I'd say just grab a second anyway. Because there's always this possibility where they want to go take photos somewhere else, and then you're there for 2 hours, and then you come back, and then the guests are doing whatever. Now the speech thing, there's absolutely no excuse for not taking at least one photo of grandma doing the speech. It literally would take 30 seconds to at least deliver one. But yeah, no, definitely mishandled on both sides again. But she's the asshole for not paying. I can't hammer this enough. Do not show up to a wedding when you're not fully paid. Don't show up to that wedding.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's you could show up and not shoot anything until they pay you, but that's going to be a weird hostage situation. But again, I would say never do this. I'll deliver something to you and then we'll get paid afterwards. That's just not right. I'm going to check out the comments real quick. I don't want to read that. All right, so where are we at here? Nicole says leave the Yorkie at home to Brett's Amber Heard comment. Carmen's just laughing at Brett, which is fair. Carmen also says bad business move. Yeah, there's just a lot of things. Again, they're both technically on the wrong here. Photographer is an extreme asshole. like a Brett Moist dog shitbag asshole. Okay, I'm not going to say extreme. Again, there's some situations where you maybe couldn't get a photo of every guest, or you also have a guest that come from other countries and they don't want their photo taken. That is something to kind of consider with it. Like I've run into that a few times, especially at receptions. Even actually at the wedding that I shot with you, Ben, up in Ohio, there was a few guests who were just like, no, don't take my photo. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? I'm not going to force you. With that being the case, though, still could have done better than what was done there. Then Brett says,
50 people.
Yeah, it's 50 people. Like you could have done at least a group shot of everyone, so they were at least in one photograph.
Yeah.
Roy will nail that reception even after taking a nasty headbutt to the face. I've seen it. Yeah, that did happen, Brett. You love bringing that up, huh? Hey, Kelsey's here. I think we're out of scenarios unless we want to. Do you guys want to crowdsource this a little bit?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let the people in the comments drop in like a situation. All right, if you can quickly type this up. If you want to leave a scenario that we should figure out, go ahead and drop it in the comments. In the meantime,
I actually do have one more if you want it in the meantime.
Oh, okay. So while you guys are listening to this, go ahead and write in the comments the situation you want us to take care of, and then we'll go ahead and take care of this next one.
It's a short one that I thought I cut out, but here it is.
Okay. Short but sweet.
This is pretty much. So this is my first ever Reddit post, but I need some opinions. My fiance and I have been engaged for a few years. We've constantly moved our wedding to accommodate my little brother, sister, and my mom's wedding. We finally set the date, bought the decor, ordered a cake, everything. Now here lies my problem. The original venue supplies food, tables, alcohol, etc., but we hit a medical and financial issue and used our wedding savings to pay for it. We can no longer afford that venue, but there are a few in our new budget. The problem is they do not allow alcohol on the premises. Am I wrong to book it because it's what I can afford at the time, or do I attempt to scrimp and save and hope for a miracle for the original venue? Usually no alcohol at a wedding is shamed or a downside, and I don't want my guests to be disappointed.
Okay, so clearly not having alcohol at the wedding is not an option. So you shouldn't be booking a venue that already says you can't do that. I would, if this was one of my clients, I'd probably recommend going to look for like a free park or there's got to be some sort of place within your limits, or like a friend's backyard even would be fine.
Yeah.
Booking a place and intentionally planning on breaking their rules, or even booking a place and intentionally planning on breaking that contract, is just going to cost you more money in the first place. So you would be the asshole in that scenario for sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I think it's weird that I wasn't prepared to give my thoughts. I think it's weird that she thinks that her guests expect alcohol and that has to be there.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily true. Like, I think a majority of weddings there is, but if she's doing it for her guests, it shouldn't be about her guests. It's about the couple. That's what the wedding day is for and what they want. And if that's something they want, that's one thing. But it kind of sounded like this is what my guests want as opposed to this is what I want.
I think, yeah, there is that. But I've also run into scenarios with couples where they talk about like not having the booze at the wedding, and people, they don't typically want to go nearly as much, not because they're going there specifically for that, but because they're not going to stay at reception for sure. They're not going to be as comfortable. Because I've shot a few weddings where there was no alcohol at the end of it, and let me tell you, that was the most boring thing I have ever witnessed. You really didn't have anyone dancing. Nobody was really talking. It was like an awkward 7th grade dance where everyone's on opposite sides of the room because they're afraid of talking to each other. So I see your point. But yeah, I'd still say not bringing. Let me put it this way: not having alcohol at your wedding does not make you an asshole. It might make your wedding boring. I don't know. Just depends. I'm also the type of person where I find that people are way more interesting after a few drinks, especially at weddings. So the photos are a little more interesting, and also the stories are typically better. Bring your own booze. Yeah, I mean you could. So that's a good point. So Thaddeus said you can bring your own booze. Recent wedding Kelsey was at had a cash bar. So many people left early. No one was on the dance floor. Yeah, exactly. When they are alcoholics, there is an expectation. I think at most weddings, people would be considered alcohol. You kind of expect to have a drink. So I don't really think she's an asshole for assuming that. Oh man. So all right, so Brett's talking about this headbutting story. I might as well like bring this up as an "Am I the asshole" story because it's a fairly solid one to bring up. So I did a wedding last year. It was a backyard wedding with like the sweetest couple. It was like their family um, event. Now they had this guy on their bridal party that they didn't particularly. We're breaking all the rules for this, by the way, by me telling a story that I've actually like I was at. Right, I know this couple. So they they had this guy on the thing that wasn't super close, but he was close to them as kids. And so the groom had four main groomsmen that he actually cared about. Like there were specific photos with those guys, and then there was four other ones that they didn't care about too much. And this guy, for whatever reason, he was like super Irish. He started drinking really heavily in the morning, and so we're just before the ceremony. He comes up to me and he just starts. He comes up for like a hug, and I'm like, okay, this is weird, right? And then he headbutts me 3 times. And I'm like, dude, why? Like, why? What was that about? And he was like, you're my people. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So, we couldn't figure out exactly what to do. My assistant at the time was trying to fight him for some reason. I was like, that's not going to help anybody. And I ended up telling the bride, I'm like, hey, listen, it's because it happened to me. I'm going to be okay. Like, it's okay. But if it happens to any of my staff again, we're all leaving, like on the spot, no questions asked. So someone needs to take care of this guy. So she was like, okay, go ahead and tell the groom. I went and told the groom, and the groom was going to go get this guy, and he was headbutting children. So the 4 other groomsmen then threw him in a fire pit that wasn't lit. Just to clarify, it was not lit. He wasn't burned at the stake for this, but like they threw him into this pit. And that was kind of the end of it for the rest of the day, except for Brett, for whatever reason, brings it up at every single possibility of all time. There is a photo of it somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. Or if Brett's got it edited. I'm sure he might. At this point, I think he probably has it like printed at his house. So I guess the question we already know who the asshole is. The guy headbutting, right? Like, there's no other asshole in that scenario. Brett, just to make you feel better, in that particular scenario, that guy was an asshole, and I don't really think anyone else is an asshole. He's saying he's an asshole because he didn't defend my honor. I'm a man. Got my own honor. We're good. Like, it's fine. I had a slight headache afterwards. It wasn't like he wasn't trying to knock me out. They were like weird, I'm drunk, like this is how I show affection things. So, that's that situation. Your assistant is an asshole for not knocking the headbutt guy out. Okay, my assistant at the time for this particular wedding was not Tyler. Yeah, it's not Tyler. Like, that wasn't his job. His job was to move around my stands. I didn't hire him as a bodyguard. And either way, his situation is to make sure I'm okay, and then make sure that guy's away from me for the most part, so I can get back to the job if I need to, or go have medical attention taken care of. His job is not to kick out guests. That's not what the assistant's job is. So yeah, any thoughts on this, Ben?
It's wild, man. I just got scared when you said they threw him in the fire pit. I'm like, are they burning this guy? Like, what type of weddings are you at?
Bro, come on. You know my weddings are the best. You're always leaving with some kind of story, right? So what had happened was, like, they were trying to get this guy, and then they noticed, like, he headbutted a little girl, and so these 4 groomsmen that were the important groomsmen, they were like the 4 horsemen of this wedding, if you will, right? They got pissed, and so they started like wrestling this dude, and he fell into the fire pit. But it basically looked like they threw him because he was fairly tiny compared to these other guys. Yeah. And so that's the whole story. That's how he got in the fire pit. Again, it wasn't lit, and that guy ended up leaving. Yeah,
deserving, clearly.
Cool. All right. Well, I think for the most part that kind of covers everything we needed to cover here, right, guys? You feel like we found some assholes here?
We did.
Sweet. For everyone on Facebook, if you guys are you're digging these, you want to have more of these, drop it in the comments. Let us know to continue these. We're going to go ahead and end this one here. But again, if you want this to be like a continuing series, maybe with Ben, maybe with other photographers kind of jumping in, let me know, because I think this is something that I'm down to listen to. It doesn't even have to be photographer stories. If you want us to just find assholes in public, we'll do that too. But that said, I had a great time doing it. What about you guys?
Yeah, thank you. This was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Next time we'll get
And
Tyler
we
on microphone.
already find the assholes in public. We just don't record it. That's all.
Yeah, from now on, we'll record every asshole we meet, and then you guys get to decide afterwards. No. But genuinely, if you guys enjoyed it, please... Brett, come on, man. Yes, if he was the asshole for bringing up the headbutting story every week. No, but that aside, if you guys can throw in the comments if you want us to do this on a regular basis, that would be great. Otherwise, we will see you soon. See ya.
Peace.